Welcome back, gamers. This is Eli of the Tiger for Super Happy Attack Team. I want to talk about something today, a topic instead of the gameplay that applies to any video game. It also applies to work and if you're on a sports team, anything like that. And the topic today is toxic teammates, people who bring you down or create negativity for the team and bring the team down. And a lot of times these people will take a leadership role, but they're not really exhibiting leadership that is effective, that builds a good team, that wins on a consistent basis. What they do is often knock you down when you make a mistake, or even if you didn't make a mistake, they will cover up their own mistakes by knocking you down. And there's some events that happened recently, but I have 1,000 examples I could think of from my real life, from video games, from sports teams I've been on. And I'm in my 40s, and I've experienced a lot of this kind of stuff in my lifetime, so I kind of just want to share it with you, and I'll try to break it down in a concise way without rambling too much. Okay, so if a teammate of yours is always criticizing what you do, but they're never positively suggesting before an occurrence happens, they're probably toxic. And short story, long story short, you should probably just get out of there. Just cut them out of your life. Now, there are people who, like myself, I'm not, above this. I have bad days and I might say something negative. And I tend to want to surround myself with positive people. So I started a clan called Super Happy Attack Team. And of course you let people in, and then sometimes they turn out to be negative in the long run, or they're positive most of the time, but sometimes negative. And those people you kind of want to talk to and try to work out, but a lot of times it's just not worth it. There's chronically toxic people that the best thing is go let them figure it out on their own and just kind of cut them out of your life if they're chronically toxic and they're not worth your time. So I'll give you a few examples. Recently, 3 of my teammates died in an Overwatch gameplay. They died from a McCree ult, and I was nowhere near them. I was playing a tank. And then I got criticized for not being there. Well, I died and respawned, and I was getting there, and, there's no way I could have protected them. But also, they didn't think about the fact that as a tank, they never try to support me. They're never good teammates for me. Like, if you're playing a Reinhardt character, you have a shield in front of you, but your flank is exposed. Now, I play with a lot of people who don't think about trying to protect the Reinhardt's flank and helping them push an objective, that kind of thing. So, I took some flack for that, whatever. I've played a lot of Reinhardt. I know how to use them. And some of these people that criticize me, I've spectated them using this character too and making big mistakes with the characters. So they are above reproach. But really, it just comes down to how you're giving feedback. Not the fact that you're being critical, but how you're being critical. Like, how your language is either supportive or not supportive. And so what I'm doing is I've decided, for me personally, I'm not going to play like I'm an equal footing with somebody who's toxic. Now, they might have taken a leadership role, but I really need to take the leadership role and surround myself with positive people and kind of lead by example. So that's what I'm going to start doing, is cutting these people out of my life more and more. And it's just one of those things where you kind of put up with some people because they're cool sometimes, but 3 strikes and you're out. So you got to set some guidelines and some rules for yourself about who you want to associate with and who you want to play video games with, or who you want to be on a sports team with, or who you want in the workplace. Now, getting into real life examples, I am the boss in my workplace. I have one boss above me, the owner of the company, and then I have like co-bosses who are in charge of other people. But I can hire people and I can fire people, and my boss never questions my decision because I've been there for 6-7 years, and they've come to trust my judgment because I've made really good decisions and, occasionally bad decisions, but I've recovered from my bad decisions and I've made really good things happen for the company. And then in video games, I'm less experienced, but now I'm getting more and more experience with these first-person shooters, and I feel like, alright, I can start making these decisions more and more. I can say, you know what, you might be really good at video games, but you're a really bad teammate. And that's how I feel about it at work. I used to have people who I hired because they're really good at their job, but they were constantly negative. And then when they ended up leaving, I was like, wow, this is such a weight off my shoulders. So even if I have to train someone new, less experienced, they make more mistakes, if they just have a positive vibe about them, if they're trying hard and they respect my authority. Now, in video games, I don't have any authority. We're all equals. We're all friends. It doesn't matter if I'm older or if I've been playing video games longer. I took a big break from video games for like 15 years, so I don't necessarily have more experience than people at video games, but I'm maybe more life experience. So that's how I'm going to approach it from now on. You know what? I'm the boss. And if you're not cool, I'm cutting you out. And if other people want to leave with you, that's fine. I did that at work once. I fired a kid because he got up in my face and was being disrespectful. And then his brother quit, and so I lost, you know, a good size of my staff. I had a staff of like 5 or 6 people at the time, and 2 of them ended up leaving on the same day. And that made my life hard for a couple of weeks. But in the long run, I replaced them with more positive people who came in on time, had a better work ethic, and the long-term outcome was way better. So if you're afraid of cutting friends out of your life, or even family members, there's toxic family members, and it's like, you know what, I'll let you back into my life when you start being a positive person, but if you're just always trying to cut me down, I don't need you. And so it came up a lot with Overwatch because teamwork is so important. And if someone's telling you to trade characters, like one person told me, oh, you shouldn't play Reinhardt, they have a Tracer on their team and that counters you. Well, yeah, theoretically the Tracer will counter you definitely if you don't have teammates supporting you, like watching your flank. And there's sometimes where it's really nice to have a Reinhardt on your team, but the Reinhardt's exposed. He needs healing, he needs a McCree, or, you know, just someone to watch and push behind with him. And so that comes a lot down to communication, and so that's what frustrates me about some people, is they won't ever say anything positive during the game, like, hey, I could use help here, or, you know, I was playing this morning with some people who were super positive, and I was like, hey, I need healing, and they'd rush over to me to heal me, and like, I would be like, hey, I'm watching your flank. There's a lot of positive communication going on. So within the the span of 2 days, I noticed a lot of, you know, I left this one group of people who were being super negative, and I joined, and I started inviting people who I felt like were positive. And so now those positive people, I'm like, wow, this is such a great experience. So that's what I'm going to do going ahead in the future. And what I encourage you to do is, you know, there's a million people in the world and a lot of people playing these games. You don't have to just keep playing with toxic people. And you don't want to be that toxic person yourself. If you catch yourself falling into negativity, take a break from the game. Take, you know, break from your friends. And like apologize. Like I've had to do that a lot of times. I've said something negative and I've come back and say, hey, look, the stress was getting to me, or I had a long day, and it doesn't make it right. But, you know, I was being super negative, and I want to apologize for that. And so that's a good way to go about fixing those relationships. So those are just my first thoughts on the subject of toxic teammates. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you did, and peace out.